Masculinity is the root of all modern problems. Every war, act of violence, or systemic injustice can be traced back to male aggression. If we want a peaceful, equitable society, we need to eliminate masculinity entirely. Ban it from media, education, and culture. Traits like assertiveness, competitiveness, or stoicism are outdated and dangerous. The only way forward is to raise boys exactly like girls and pretend sex differences don't exist. Masculinity is inherently toxic and should be erased from public life.
This is toxic. Aragorn is the epitome of positive masculinity, a shining example to emulate. He is defined by servant leadership. He protects, not to dominate, but to uplift, carrying the burdens of others with quiet strength. Aragorn never wields violence for its own end. Every stroke of his blade is driven by purpose, to shield the vulnerable and defend those entrusted to his care. When he decapitates an orc, it isn't violence for violence sake. He doesn't draw steel to feed his ego, but to protect those whom he loves. And in the very next breath, he mourns his fallen brother in arms, proving that true manhood is both fierce and deeply tender. And just as quickly, he lays down his arms to weep for his fallen friend, showing that strength and compassion aren't opposites, but two sides of the same crown. I do not love the bright sword for its sharpness, nor the arrow for its swiftness, nor the warrior for his glory. I love only that which they defend. Masculinity doesn't limit Aragorn to only showing emotions of lust or anger. He fights for the vulnerable and leads not through pride, but purpose, proving that true manhood is both fierce and deeply tender, a timeless portrayal. And yet only 2 decades later, masculinity itself is being shunned, and young men are paying the ultimate price. There's a well-attested crisis in masculinity. Boys and young men are adrift. And you've heard the 2 big narratives. The left says men rage because they've lost privilege. The alt-right claims society's too feminine for real men to thrive. Young men are frustrated because they feel like failures. Unrealistic expectations are coming at them from all directions, and they just can't keep up. Men are increasingly angry and disengaged from society, not merely because they don't know what manhood means in the absence of privilege, or because a leftist elite is propagating behavioural norms that suppress their masculine nature. I'd argue the deeper wound comes from how we talk about masculinity itself, by lumping honour, courage, and responsibility in with aggression and entitlement. Calling it all toxic, we teach boys that even their best traits are a problem. That message makes them feel othered, like outsiders in their own skin, with nowhere to belong. The message young men must hear is that masculinity isn't toxic. It's the absence of it that is. Because it's not strength that harms, but weakness masquerading as power. Strong men protect. Weak men control. Every week, dozens of Aussie boys die, not from accidents, but a quiet despair, a loss of direction. In this masculinity crisis, boys search for the map, and men have forgotten how to draw it. The Harvard Youth Poll finds only 17% of 18 to 29-year-olds feel deeply connected to a community, and 22% say COVID made isolation worse. No wonder vulnerable young men grasp at any semblance of belonging, even in the darkest corners of the web. Encouragingly, the solution to the loneliness epidemic is available to all of us. Taking time each day to reach out to a friend or family member. Meaning, direction, identity, belonging. We've made boy a 4-letter word, and too often pitted feminism against masculinity. rather than celebrating how they complement each other. Somehow, it feels almost intentional. Hi, I'm Dr. Matt, paediatrician, dad, husband, and champion of positive masculinity. Today I'll show you why we push many young men into dark places when we frame masculinity as toxic, and how we can offer them a better map, one where real strength is humble, consistent, and built to serve. So what is true, positive masculinity? It's not a mask of silence, it's selfless service. Integrity, provision, the willingness to stand when others fall and to kneel when someone needs comfort. Don't just tell boys how to grow into good men, show them through your own example. So today, I want to talk about bringing up boys in a world that thinks masculinity is the problem. Because it's not, it's the map. What's a lesson a good man in your life taught you? Drop it in the comments below. The culture wars between feminism and masculinity have spilled onto our screens, and far too often, the writer's shortcut to a strong woman is a weak, cartoonish man. Instead of transferring positive traits like protection and self-sacrifice, they skip straight to domineering, arrogant man-haters who win at everything, with zero cost to pay for their power. When every male cop in Birds of Prey is a bumbling joke, we're taught that maleness equals incompetence, or worse, cruelty. No wonder young men sit confused. They see their best qualities mocked, their worst traits celebrated, and it's reflected at the box office, with stories that no one can connect. If you want to make powerful female heroes, give them a real arc. Let them fail, struggle, earn their wins through hard work and resilience. That's how a hero's journey resonates. We need to reclaim positive masculinity on our screen. Men and women alike can be both strong and protective. We don't need to tear down men as a shortcut to heroism. Let's call out these one-dimensional portrayals and demand better. Alright, let's talk about this phrase, toxic masculinity. Now I get it. It was meant to highlight harmful behaviours, aggression, entitlement, emotional suppression. But if I walked up to you and said, hey, let's talk about your toxic ethnicity or toxic religion, you'd probably stop listening before I got to the nuance part. When we label an entire identity toxic, we push boys away, straight into the manosphere, which teaches that men must be powerful by demeaning and controlling women. These disenfranchised boys then find incel culture, the darkest outcome of a void in healthy guidance. Instead of blaming women or demonising so-called fatherless behaviour, these young men need mentors who uplift and protect, not tear others down. True masculinity isn't about being unbreakable or bottling up your emotions. It's about blending strength with sensitivity, protecting others while knowing when to comfort them. My sons live this every day. Their kindness and moments of fear shown me how to be more present and open. I started this channel because screens had become our barrier. I asked, what do you love? And in listening, I learnt their language. Gaming, humour, creation. I discovered humility, curiosity, and a way to turn my protective instinct into genuine partnership. That shift changed everything. Parenting became less about telling, more about listening. My wife models this every day, showing me that listening isn't weakness, it's one of our greatest strengths. I didn't learn this alone, my parents lived it. Dad would drive me to the next town before sunrise so I could chase my dream of becoming a doctor, quizzing me on algebra problems in the car along the way. Mum showed me that love is action, that it's okay to mess up, so long as you learn and take responsibility. Between them, I knew strength isn't just solving problems, and sensitivity isn't just softness. You need both, equations and emotion, discipline and compassion. That balance is the gift we pass on to our sons. Thanks, Mum and Dad. Love you both heaps. You didn't just support my dream, you helped make it real. boys. If your mentor preaches control, exploitation, fear, that's not strength, it's empty power. The Tate brothers fuel our culture wars by demonising positive masculine traits and promoting the negative ones. No wonder so many boys are confused or angry. Netflix's Adolescence shows a 13-year-old boy radicalised by the manosphere. Not a villain, but a victim. We need accountability plus empathy. Let's rescue masculinity from those who seek to corrupt it. Jordan Peterson's blueprint, Clean Your Room, isn't just chores. It's a micro quest in courage and self-respect. Every small victory rewrites your inner script from I can't to I did. And when your room is in order, you've proven to yourself you can tackle anything. Homework, relationships, even stepping up as a protector and guide in your family. It hits hard because he gives young men exactly what they crave, a blueprint. To single mums raising boys, you're heroes. You don't have to be every aspect of masculinity yourself. Instead, bring in mentors, uncles, coaches, community leaders who will show strength that listens, uplifts, and gently guides. Identify mentors in sports, arts, or faith groups. Encourage consistent check-ins, calls, weekends, shared projects. Model appreciation. Discuss what makes these men admirable. Masculinity and femininity aren't opposites. They're the complementary halves of the human story. Our modern challenge isn't choosing sides. It's learning to borrow from each other's strengths. Boys need to practice patience, just as girls benefit from standing firm. It's in that blend, assertiveness, leavened with empathy, that we raise balanced human beings. Masculinity isn't the enemy, it's a gift. Applied with humility and care, it creates men who protect and nurture. Our boys are full of potential, strength, and heart. Let's come together and redefine what it means to be a man today. Compassionate and courageous. Look, I'm a work in progress. Every day I strive to be a better man than I was yesterday. Not just for me, but my family, my patients, and you, dear viewer. I aim not to just tell my boys how to grow into good men, but to be an example for them. Demonstrate the masculinity you want to see in the young men entrusted to your care.
By all that you hold dear on this good earth, I bid you stand, men of the West!